What's up? What's up? Real MVPs, Ricky Widmer here, and welcome into another edition. The third edition of 2021 of MVP Sports Live. It's the third day, not the third year, because apparently yesterday I was thinking days were years, and Dave had to correct me because I said it's the second year of 2021, which makes zero sense.
You said the second year of 2020, which I was like, please God, no.
Please God, we're
it's
not
like
going
when the clock turns over, and it's just like, nope.
Oh, please don't go back.
December 32nd, 2020.
I am joined with my beautiful co-host, Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
Dave, I usually ask you how you're doing, but today might be a rough one. And it might be a rough one for a lot of people out there because, there are other things going on that kind of take you out of the sports world a little bit today.
Yeah. No, we talked about it before the show.
Yeah.
I know this isn't a political show, but like it's hard not to talk about the fact that, Capitol got overrun by a bunch of domestic terrorists today. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of fucking fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see. Shut up and commentate.
Thanks, Jake. Jake has been drinking, by the way.
Is that a
shut up and dribble? It's a shut up and dribble comment.
Okay.
But
just a weird fucking day. So I tell Ricky, I've been watching news for like 6 hours a day. So it's just like, wow, there's a lot of incredibly fucked up things that have been going on. And
mine was a little bit weirder because last night my brain didn't want to shut off. So I had slept for maybe like 2 hours last night. And at 2:00, I was like, I'm going to take a 2 hour, I'm going to try to take a 2 hour nap. And I literally woke up to it where it's like I was flipping through Facebook after waking up and I saw our friend not Sean Anderson, post about it. And I was like, wait, what's going on? Then I saw my cousin, my aunt. I'm like, all right, I got to check Twitter. What the fuck is going on that I missed? Because they were talking about Trump. And yeah, it's one of those things where I've seen on Twitter where people are relating it to 9/11 in the sense of you're never going to forget the day or what you were doing when you found out the Capitol building got stormed. Hopefully not as bad as 9/11, but like in that sense of like, this is
one casualty.
Yeah. This is something where it's like, holy shit. I can't believe this is actually happening.
In my country. Like I've literally seen this scene happen in third world countries.
Yeah.
I've seen it's like democracy fallen, dictatorship fallen, whatever it is, like unrest in the streets, and the people fucking swarm the Capitol and take the Capitol building. And I'm like, that's wild. And now that it happened within our country and a minority, like a small minority of people, like I think it was probably under 1,000 people, or I don't know. Do you have any idea how many people were actually there? Because I'm guessing about 1,000.
I have no idea. I watched a couple videos and then it was right into Games Live.
Gotcha. I'll say like a couple hundred people then. Yeah. Just like did this thing. I'm like, I don't even like what I'm seeing doesn't comprehend in my brain even.
The one image that made me disgusted the most, and maybe it shouldn't have made me disgusted the most, but it made me disgusted, is it's a picture of a woman with a Keep America Great hat on, sitting at one of the desks, like obviously just posing for an Instagram picture.
Yeah.
And the amount of hatred that I just like filled my body looking at that was just like, I know nothing's going to happen to you. And that's why I hate you. And I hate everything going on. But let's hope this isn't a reoccurring thing. We get through the next, 14 days until the 20th? Then everything blows over, hopefully. Let's hope that that happens, even though it probably will not, hopefully. Jake says the dude with his feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk got me. I didn't see that one. So, Jake, send me that in my fucking DMs because I fucking would be interested to see that. But, Dave, what I had is a pre-show topic because you kind of brought it up, too, on the Pat McAfee show. They had, what was his name? He was one of the radio guys from Pittsburgh. He also did some commentating for WCW back in the day. He brought up something that I completely, I forgot about it, but when he brought it up and he said the name, I was like, that name sounds familiar. And then McAfee's like, oh, he was a Viking coach. I was like, oh my God, I remember this. And the only reason I remember it is because it was my team that he was coaching for. Literally, the guy coaching the Browns this weekend, Dave, said the line, I'm going to look for it here because it's in the Deadspin article. that I found is this is why. Back in 2013, former Minnesota Vikings punter Chris Cluey described in detail horrendous, bigoted remarks from Pfeiffer, who isn't coaching the game for the Browns, Mike Pfeiffer, made to him. At one point, Pfeiffer said in a team meeting, "We should round up all the gays, send them to an island, and then nuke it till it glows." Yeah. And the thing that hit hard is the Steelers radio guy said it. He's like, in this cancel culture, how is he not canceled? How did that cockroach get fucking through the woodworks and hasn't been canceled? Because in our culture, I would feel like that is a cancelable offense.
Yeah, especially since it's not like the comment from a long time ago. It's a grown man saying something like that he clearly believed, and he sat behind closed doors, so he trusted his words, and he meant it. It's not like a situation where it's like, and I don't even really believe 90% of the ones who are just like, oh, I made a mistake and it slipped or something like that. I'm like, sure, whatever. Like, you say the word, you've probably said it before, privately. So with him, I'm just like, what exactly are we doing here? How you're right. How hasn't this been more of a stink? Like, how did he get, I don't want to say another job, but like, it's very interesting that he has been able to continue on with his coaching career and literally very little pushback. I know he had to make a public statement and apologize for his statements, but I don't remember hearing anything about him working with charities, working to raise awareness, anything as far as any sort of like, I want to make myself better and I want to show the world that I shouldn't have been at the place I was before.
Yeah,
I don't remember any of that.
Not even that. Like, I just think of the fact of, like, yet again, going back to how has this guy not been blacklisted by the NFL? Yeah. Where it's like, oh, we don't like, I think of, like, yet again, different degrees of what they did, but like Ray Rice, blacklisted. Colin Kaepernick, blacklisted. How does it, like, is this the NFL basically saying, well, domestic violence, that's bad. You come out and basically Colin Kaepernick, I have nothing to say about that because basically it's not like, it would understand if it's like, oh, well, racism's bad, but they were kind of on the other side with that one, being the NFL, because he was kind of pointing out the injustices in the world and they blacklisted him from the NFL. How is nuking all the gays not blacklisted? Like, that's the thing that's still like,
clearly the NFL doesn't have a large majority of people who feel strongly one way or the other about that. So I think it's just they played into their fan base, and I'm sure if he said something racist, you're right, that would have gotten him just removed from the situation. That would have done something. Yeah. And he's not an amazing coach, so if he, committed domestic violence or something like that, domestic assault, some shit like that, he's probably not good enough to get back in. Yeah. But apparently, there is one minority group that you could still, make comments about publicly. Yeah. Not a big deal, apparently.
And now for that, I hope the Steelers win this weekend. Because,
well, I was hoping they would win anyway, but yeah.
I do also love how the guy on the McAfee show was like, McAfee's like, what? The Cleveland Browns, they've made the playoffs the next amount of years. Don't they deserve a playoff win? He goes, no, all they deserve is a first-round exit. Yeah. That's all they deserve. I loved it. Just leaning into the Steelers. But, Dave, before we get into everything, we have some basketball, some football today, some Wet Boys in the middle. Before we do, housekeeping, Discord, if you haven't joined it already, greatest community on the internet, link down below in the description, or !Discord in the Twitch chat. Get you in on that. We're talking about all the sports, NBA, NFL, a little hockey here, baseball there. It's a great community to talk about anything you would like to talk about. If you want to support us, patreon.com/MVPvids is how you go ahead and do that. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Pat Hill and Philly Sean. We're on Twitch every Monday through Friday, twitch.tv/MVPvids. We're also on YouTube at MVP Sports. Go ahead, follow, like, find us everywhere so you always are tapped for what we are doing. Dave, I will say also, patreon.com, the mock draft for the 2.0 in the NFL is up on Patreon. So if you want to see my mock draft early, it's up there. Gold and platinum. Get that right now. Otherwise, everyone gets it on Monday. Dave, the first thing we're talking about today is kind of relating to something that was put in the Discord earlier today. And it has to do with the T-Wolves, but it also has to do with the news or an article that was put out by CBS today. So Sam put into the Discord today an interesting article that was titled NBA wants 2.5 billion fee for possible expansion teams. Expects offers in Vegas and Seattle per report. And basically the article, while the league has not committed to a expansion path yet, it has explored the idea with a reportedly exorbitant price tag. According to ESPN's Brian Windhorst, the NBA has floated an expansion fee of $2.5 billion apiece for 2 new teams, which multiple offers expected from Vegas and Seattle-based groups. This kind of sparked some conversation, and there was an ESPN article that kind of brought up like, hey, right now the Timberwolves are for sale again. They were put on the market. Let's see. The article says the exact years. They were put on, I think, in 2013. They were taken off the market. Okay, they're no longer for sale. 2 years later, okay, we're going to sell the team again. They were taken off. We're not going to sell them. And right now, they are for sale. There have been rumors of like the family that owns, I think it's the Wilfs, that own the Vikings, to get them interested in buying the T-Wolves. No traction has been made. There was interest from Kevin Garnett to get a group together to buy the T-Wolves. No traction has been made there. The only traction that has been made is, I just had it here. So there's a guy called Daniel Strauss, who's a New Jersey-based healthcare magnate and former minority owner of the Grizzlies. That's the only one where there's traction. If there's a deal done, it's going to be for him. The question I want to ask you, Dave, is do you think a T-Wolves sale will affect or kind of have any effect on this expansion fee? Because the kind of thing that the article goes into is if the Wolves sell for like 1.3 to 1.5 billion, is that on the same, yes, it might be a smaller market, but is that going to affect how groups look at the 2.5 and go, well, why should I pay 2.5 when this team just sold for 1.3 or 1.5?
No effect. Literally none.
Okay.
Situation where location means everything. Seattle and Vegas are the 2 most popular places looking to add teams and talent and entertainment back. Seattle obviously had the Supersonics, lost the Supersonics. They've been a great sports city. They deserve to have the Supersonics come back to town. So I don't think that there will be any price issues. I think there are multiple groups looking to pay up at that cost or somewhere in that area to get a team there, regardless of who it is. It's going to happen, and it's going to be in that range. And Vegas is just full of money right now. You have to think that, like, with the success of the stadium of Oakland to LA, that transition from a team that wasn't wildly popular. I think that once people get back in the stands, that stadium is going to be a massive attraction, and adding in a basketball team to that city will be huge. I mean, we're talking about the entertainment capital of America, adding on yet another showcase for it. So I don't think that anyone gives a flying fuck what happens to Minnesota. Well, like, the Timberwolves, great for you. Sell for however much you can get for them, but those 2 cities are worth a premium, and there's reason why.
Well, and the reason why, like, I agree with you, where the market size when it comes to the size of the city, and I would even say the excitement for the city, there's more excitement in a city like Vegas and also like a city like Seattle. The league already knows there's a starving base of basketball fans in that city after getting their team ripped away from them. But I found it interesting when it comes to Nielsen. So it's like Nielsen has kind of like a ranking of like how many TV or active TVs are in a market to kind of gauge on what the biggest market's on. And at the top, you've got the New Yorks, the LAs, the Chicagos. But I kind of came up with a list of, so Minnesota is at 15 on their list. Right above them, and these are all cities that I would feel like might get a team, but some of them probably won't. Tampa Bay I put down because I would feel like the city of Tampa Bay, depending on if we get fans this year, and because the Raptors are in Tampa Bay this season, maybe a group kind of feels out of maybe late this season, hey, there is some excitement here. So maybe they try to get in. They're at 12. Seattle's at 13. St. Louis will probably not, but they're at 23. Pittsburgh, if Pennsylvania wanted a double team with the Sixers and a Pittsburgh team, Pittsburgh's at 24. Baltimore, to add another team to the DC market, is at 26. San Diego's at 29. Kansas City's at 32. Vegas, which is the big one that'll probably get a team, is at 39 on the list. And then Louisville is at 48. Yet again, probably one that's not going to get it. But yet again, people have thrown that out there to where I almost look at it and I go, especially if I'm Seattle and if I'm looking at the Nielsen kind of how many TVs are in the household, if I'm an investment group or I'm a group trying to get into the NBA, there's a part of me that may go, whoa, I understand why you want me to pay $2.5 billion, but really, is it fair if my market is not that much bigger than Minnesota's and this ownership group has to pay $1 billion less than I have to pay? Just because a new ownership fee basically is what you can tax that into?
I mean, it's a lot of things. I think that's going to end up coming back to help pay back the league for a bunch of debt that they got into this year and probably last year as well. So, no, the fee is 100%. Basketball teams have been nothing but success. Look at the sale of every basketball team, even, going back to probably the 80s. All they've done is make money. All they have done is grow as far as what their actual worth is. So, when people talk about this is an investment. This is a chance to get in at here, and when you're getting out, it's going to be up here.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it's about. It's just smart money. And also, I'm going to just be a smart ass here and be like, Nielsen ratings don't mean a fucking thing for basketball fans. You want to know why? Because basketball fans don't watch basketball on TV. Because there are so many blackouts. The league pass shit is such a joke. Basketball's not consumed via TV. Basketball is consumed via different media methods, whether it's live streams, whether it's Twitch, whether it's Twitter, whether it's clips here and there. Nobody's actually going and sitting down and watching, NBC for 2 hours to watch a basketball game anymore. That's just not how it's done. So I think those numbers don't mean anything. When you're talking about cities that deserve basketball teams, Louisville deserves a basketball team over, say, Tampa fucking Bay. Tampa Bay should not have a basketball team.
I just look at it and I go, why. Tampa would be a bigger market, though, right?
Yeah, don't care, though. It's the fan appreciation. It's how much that city would love a basketball team and support a basketball team. Because if your city doesn't support your team, then you're fucked. We have a team that Chicago absolutely loves. We love them, even if we hate them. We will love them, and we will still sell out a fucking stadium for 20 years after Michael Jordan has left because we love the team so much, and no matter how dumb they are.
And we'll fucking say it, blow it up after they beat the Blazers, so you never know.
It's one of those situations where if your fans are showing up to games and are loyal, then you can work through it. I don't know that Tampa Bay is one of those cities. I do know that Louisville would be one of those cities. I think that would be an absolutely great place to thrive. I know that Seattle would love that team and would appreciate that team. And I know Las Vegas would have the amount of traffic and bodies through that city to fill that stadium on a nightly basis. It's not a situation of, we don't have many people watching TV. You don't go to Vegas to watch TV. Vegas isn't a city like any other city. You can't compare them to Minnesota or Austin or Louisville or any other random city in America. They are a unique situation that has, I would probably say, top 5 fucking amount of people going through that city in a normal world, non-COVID world. so it absolutely garners special attention. So no, I think Nielsen ratings are a sign of yesteryear. I think that is no longer the way that media is consumed. I think that it is not a good basis to say why we should pay less, because it's always just going to be competition. You're going to pay that much money because someone else is willing to pay that much money. That's all it comes down to at the end of the day for me.
And I mean, the article does throw out there too as a reference point of last month when the Jazz got sold. Yet again, that's a market that also, like, they compared it to Minnesota, where it's like also a small market team. They got sold for $1.66 billion. So right around the ballpark of where Minnesota would be. I kind of look at it and I go, like, Seattle and Vegas will probably be the most likely ones because, like you said, Seattle has that rabid fan base. Vegas has already proven, hey, we had a hockey team. Hockey team came in here, very successful. They have a WNBA team that has fans. They have a NFL team now that has fans. Also, you have the kind of what I would think that they would do, but they could do whatever they want, is would they being the NBA team, work a deal with also UNLV where it's like, okay, the Thomas Mack Center is no longer where they're playing games. This stadium is where the NBA team is, and it's also the home of the Runnin' Rebels because you've got them also in the area. So you can have it to where,
new
like,
stadium.
What?
New stadium.
That's what I'm saying. New stadium, but both of them play there, kind of a thing, to kind of make even the attraction bigger for even the college side of things, to where, like,
depends who the investors are.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it depends who it is.
Squeeze the college for some cash.
Squeeze that college for some cash to get in on that.
But yeah,
because I like those. I like when the fucking, like, colleges get to play in, like, where it's like, oh, they have an actual actual stadium rather than like the.
We got to go to that stadium. It's not bad.
What?
We got to go watch games in the college stadium. It wasn't bad.
I'm just saying, like, there's other schools where it's like, I know that, like, I'm trying to think of, like, Kentucky. They love their Rupp Arena. And it's like you get that and the Cameron that are very, like, intimate college settings. Yeah. I love the arenas. It's just me. I love the arenas. Like, there are some where it's like, okay, it works for Duke, but, like, for me, it's like when you get to see these high level college players playing in the arena. I like that. I think that this will be interesting to see how the T-Wolves sale goes. Because yet again, I'll be honest, it could be something to where the ownership goes, fuck it, they're not on the board anymore, and they pull it like they've done 2 times before.
Just waiting for an offer to, check all the boxes. That's all it is. It's just a giant game.
Yeah, but I mean, I hope that Seattle gets a team. I hope Vegas gets a team. I know that it was thrown in the Discord, if Vegas gets a team, what name they would be. I'm on the side, Dave, I don't know if you answered that in the Discord. I want something that relates to, like, the casino side. Like, I love the Vegas Aces. Like, that is a slick name for that WNBA team. That's what I'd want the NBA team to be, but they can't steal the Aces from the Aces.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think they would definitely lean into the gambling side. I mean, the Golden Knights have nothing to do with it.
Yeah, good point.
Obviously, the Raiders, they kept the name, moved the city, So what? I don't know. If you're going fresh, Golden Knights is the fresh answer. Nothing to do with gambling. Yeah. Do you think that the NBA, Adam Silver, forward thinker, leans into the gamble?
Maybe. I do. Like, today, I learned this from the Pat McAfee show. New York legalized sports betting, but they did it in a different way. Instead of going through the bookies, they're going to go through the lottery system so that the state makes more money.
Yeah, it's kind of bullshit. I'm surprised we didn't try that.
I mean, nonetheless, you'll be able to soon bet in New York, so you won't have to do what some people have said, where they get on the bridge, they go over to New Jersey, they place their bets, and then they come home. Because you can bet in New Jersey, you can't bet in New York right now. But yeah, this will be interesting to watch, and just the expansion as a whole, because I know Kings fans are going to get mad at me. When I was thinking of names for Vegas, I was like, can we Cleveland Browns it? Have the Sacramento Kings move to LA, be the Vegas Kings, and then we'll just give Sacramento a team. And they can come up with their own name and be the Sacramento
If we could do that,
Lions.
The Utah Jazz wouldn't exist right here. Because Jazz should not be in Utah.
Should be in New Orleans. Yeah, it should be in New Orleans, where it near perfectly. I don't know many Mormons that are hip and cool with the Jazz, Dave.
Very hot Jazz team there.
Many Jazz cats out there. The other NBA thing I wanted to get into is the Portland Trailblazers, Dave. They had a game last night. They played our Chicago Bulls, where they lost 111-108. The question I want to ask you, because the Blazers as a whole, and really some of their players as a whole, have not had the best start to the season. I will ask you, is it overreaction to say this? Is it not? Did we overhype the Blazers in the offseason by basically crowning them towards like, oh, they're going to be this high in the West. They're going to be the ones in the playoffs to possibly take down LeBron and the defending champs?
Nah, we would never do that. Never.
No track record of that.
No. When Ricky and Dave agreed, what happens? No.
Near perfect every time. Just check the receipts.
Yeah, check the receipts. I dare you. No, I mean, Nurkic has not been playing well. Mm-hmm. That's number one. Zach Collins got hurt, number two. And if I'm going to be honest, playing Carmelo Anthony and Enes Kanter at the same time is damn near impossible to keep up with the scoring from the other team.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Those two men can't share a court together.
I mean, you're right. I even put a name out there that you didn't say is Damian Lillard has been not like Damian's been good, but he hasn't been like, this is the question with me and the Blazers is if they're going to be the team we thought they were going to be, can they do that with Dame being a 25, 26 point per night guy, averaging a little bit less than he has in the last few years, but still in the ballpark? He's about 41, almost 42%. Does he need to be a guy that is shooting near 50%? Last year he was at 46 to end the season. He was also at 40% from three. Right now he's down 5% from last year, and he's nearly down almost 4 to 5 points per game, which might not seem like a lot, but like when you're averaging 30 points a night.
7 fucking games, and if you take away their first game in which he got massacred by Utah, shot terribly. If you take off that first game, he's putting up 29 a night on 43, 37, 92 splits.
Good point.
So he's basicly right on par with where he's been every other year.
Okay. Good point. Looking in the Utah game was absolutely terrible for him. It's just like, I don't know, like I hate basketball. I hate talking basketball so early in the season because it's like, obviously there's games to talk about, but it's really like that sense of like where you're sitting there and you're going, I want to be overreactionary.
So do it.
But my mind tells me it's only been 7 games.
I agree with you. I love watching. I'm a massive consumer of other people's content on basketball.
Yeah.
I love to watch other small YouTube channels. I'll watch big ESPNs, FS1s, whoever it is. I absorb all the basketball info I can get, except KOC. Fuck that motherfucker. Rent free, baby. Rent free. But what I was getting to was the fact that it does seem everything early season is just massive overreactions. You can make the numbers look as gaudy as you want or as terrible as you want in such small sample sizes. So, like, I think the only thing you can tell right now is, yes, this team is struggling. They're I think the worst or second to worst defense in the NBA. The big issue in my mind, again, leans back to Nurkic, who was not able to get fully healthy coming into the season, does not seem to be in great.
Go ahead, Dave. You're back.
It's very much the concern with Nurkic not maybe being in the best of shape coming into the season. And it was a similar question. I knew Luka didn't have the opportunity to work out because of where he was at when the pandemic hit and all that stuff. So, like, I don't know what Nurkic's situation was like if he wasn't able to get in the gym, get properly set up to start the season, because technically this is kind of like preseason rep time still for them. It's 7 games into the season. So when you have 2 guards who are a net negative on defense, you can do your best to kind of guide opposing players into your rim protector and Yusuf Nurkic. That's how they got by last year. They added in 2 good wing defenders in Boko and Derek Jones Jr. And I think both those guys, the defense is still there. The shooting hit or miss night in, night out. I know in chat, Eric saying Covington not been great. I agree. His offensive game seems to be up in the air again. I think he found a really good role for himself in Houston, and now this is another change for him. So we're gonna have to wait and see to figure out if Terry Stotts can figure out how to use him correctly. Which I'm excited to see Terry Stotts actually coach, because so far, from what I saw last night, their game plan is ISO, ISO, and we're gonna change things up here and say ISO.
Well, and that's what I was going to bring up, Terry Stotts. But before I do, you brought up a great point that I want to reiterate. Is this season is just like last season. This season is unlike any start to a season we have had, to where basically, like, we hit this in, I think it was the Magic segment, of basically all the teams, and I joked with Soapy that in my fantasy team, I should have just drafted all the fucking guys who weren't in the bubble. Because they're the freshest. They're the freshest legs. They haven't played since the league shut down in March. They've been working out in the gym and stuff, but like they weren't in the bubble. They haven't played games since almost a year ago, where basically Portland was playing what the beginning of the playoffs were about 2 months ago. Yeah, like these guys haven't seen an actual offseason where you get to not just mentally, just like kind of disconnect.
Recover.
Yeah, like you go through a season, especially the bubble too. Like Dame was given it each and every night to where it's like you don't have an actual offseason to recoup and kind of relax. It's kind of like straight back into it, to where in even the Bulls game, Stacey's even brought up where all these games are kind of like preseason games, like you said, because guys are still getting back into it, going through the weird offseason that they had. But I brought up Terry Stotts before you did. Like, I had him on my screen here because Jake last night we were watching the Bulls-Blazers game. I want to say it was Jake, so Jake, correct me if I'm wrong, was mentioning numerous times, I feel like as a joke but serious, of the, wow, I can't wait for this man to lose his job this year.
We're doing that.
And, like, that's the thing I think. If this team struggles enough this year, does the blame get thrown on Terry Stotts? And it was not Jake, it was somebody else. But like this is basically it, of like, if he can't make it work, like with Jake says, if his system can't make it work to where Nurkic has to step up, or like it's all ISO, do the Blazers look at this and they go, hey, we made the moves to get better guys to have a better roster for you. If we're not making the playoffs, if we're making the play-in tournament and getting bounced, or hell, if they even make the playoffs and get bounced in the first round again, is ownership going to go, hey, we got the players, we need a better guy at the helm to get this team over the hump?
I wouldn't blame the fans for asking for change to happen in that coaching position. Because Damian Lillard has been excellent for years. He's been a top 5 point guard, a top 3 point guard for I don't know how many years now. I mean, he is just constantly in the shadow of Steph Curry. But I don't know if there's another guy out there who has the ability to knock down big shots and carry the offensive load quite like he can out there. So the need is there for them to win some games. Dame is there for life. He's Portland, he's all in, he's all about it. CJ's the guy who he's his best friend, but at the same time, he's also been the one who's been shopped.
Yeah.
And we don't know what validity, how much effort was there. We did hear from Dame, though. I don't know if you had read this.
No,
he was looking for someone from Golden State to come on over. He was looking for a deal. Let's get a certain nut-kicking scumbag.
I was going to say, was it Draymond? I want Draymond
on that roster. He's looking for a little toughness, a little defense. So it was very interesting. But yeah, no, I totally get it. I think Stotts has been interesting. I don't think he's been a bad head coach, but I do wonder if he's plateaued.
Him and Dame have been linked because Dame was drafted in 2012. Stotts' first year after being fired. So he was fired in Milwaukee 2007, did not coach, until being hired by the Blazers before the 2012-2013 season. So Stotts and Lillard have been in Portland Lillard's entire career, which has gone, they missed the playoffs his rookie year. Ever since then, it's been 4 first-round exits, 2 semifinal exits, and then the infamous 2019 playoffs where they went to the conference finals. They just lost to the Warriors. Yeah. They got spanked.
Yeah. So I mean, I do wonder, is he the what was the name of the coach of the Raptors?
Is he the Dwayne Casey?
Yeah, is he the Dwayne Casey of the West? Is he good enough to get you against the best teams in the West, but he can't quite put it all together to beat them?
Is Dwayne Casey the original Mark Jackson, though, Dave? That's the real question. Is Mark Jackson the original? We have to go to as Dave froze against my Discord. Is being stupid. Dave, the question I asked was, is he the original Mark Jackson even? Because Mark Jackson was also the same. Develop the players, can't get them over there.
Mark Jackson wasn't half the man. The man. Mark Jackson couldn't get his team to the playoffs multiple times. That's not... Stotts can get his team to the playoffs. Stotts can win some games, but in a series... I mean, obviously the health of his best players has deteriorated. He's been unlucky if one thing, but at the same time, you have to wonder about the adjustments. And if the fans are anything to go by, I think this is kind of the final year. It's like, dude, we gave you wing defenders. Yeah. Make it fucking happen or else.
And Jake even says in Twitch chat, get Kenny Atkinson over there. And I'm saying his name.
Where is Kenny Atkinson right now?
I don't think he's anywhere. I don't think he's signed anywhere. I think he's
I'm sure if he's an assistant or just doing a specialist role where he's like kind of floating around.
I'm Googling him. Okay. Oh, he's an assistant with the Clippers.
Okay, yeah. Good move.
Yeah, he is an assistant coach right now with the Clippers. Like, he's someone that I get. Like, that's the thing. Like, the coach that needs to come in needs to be able to work with what you got. And I'm not saying that Kenny Atkinson would not be that guy, but I mean, that's something to where he would probably be top of the list because of who's out there, but who knows? Maybe the Blazers go with someone else.
You might want somebody who works with stars better. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Or
it's the whole reason why Kenny Atkinson got fucking pushed out of town in the first place.
Maybe they go, dude, Scotty Brooks is going to get fired. He's used to dealing with 2 stars. Let's go ahead and bring in Scotty Brooks. I would never wish that on the city of Portland, by the way.
Thank you.
Would never. But Dave, before we go into the football, let's take a quick aside, a little break to do Wet Boys, the dampest of dudes, the soggiest of shooters, the moistest of men, sometimes the mistiest of misses. How it works is each and every day, we have the option to give a misty miss, give a wet boy, players of the day. Dave gives one, I give one. The patrons at patreon.com/MVP give one as well. Dave, today has been a special day. I asked you before the show, do you have a wet boy? Dave said, no, I don't, because I've been focusing so much on what's been going on with the real world and just everything that kind of matters more.
It just didn't seem like it was worth it for me.
So I will go, and then we'll introduce the patron wet boy. For me, I am Dave. I was basically, I'm not gonna say shunned. I was pressured out of giving this yesterday. Maddie Seiger should have been the first misty miss. I am sorry to Maddie. I gave in to the haters. But today, Dave, we get our first misty miss of 2021. And that is Dana Evans. Mainly because not only, Louisville played UT Martin, who's a 2-3 team. They don't even sniff the number 2 Cardinals. But having a game, to me, having a game where you take 12 shots and you only miss 2 of them, you only missed 2 complete shots. Thank you, Dave, for kicking me out. 2 complete shots the entire game. You score 29 points. You lead all scorers. You had yourself a game. Could not pass it up. I know that there are some people out there that are like, oh, Jokic should have got the wet boy. You know what? He deserved it. He deserved one. Juancho also deserved one. Honorable mentions. We'll see if the patrons went with them. But yeah, I had to go with Dana Evans. Give some love a little bit away from the NBA because so far to start, we've been so NBA heavy. And then Dave, the patrons, I will ask you, do you think they went with either Jokic or Juancho?
Juancho.
Jared Allen is your wet boy, Dave. 19 points, 18 boards, 3 steals, 2 blocks, and went 8 of 9 from the field. Thoughts on the Jared Allen wet boy?
You told me it was Jared Allen before the show.
Yeah, I know.
Already forgot.
Yeah, but I mean, had himself a game. I feel like
didn't watch. I'll be honest.
Some of the votes went, "Oh, Dave, don't throw that out there." He didn't even watch, bro.
Didn't even last night, dude. I only caught the fourth quarter of the Bulls Portland game. So like Jared Allen apparently had a good game. Congrats to you,
dude. I'm fucking with you. I'm just fucking.
No,
with you.
I'm gonna just be honest and throw out the didn't watch. I ain't gonna talk about them. I'm just acknowledge those stats look pretty good. Apparently, you deserve a wet boy, according to our fans who perhaps watched.
Jake's throwing at you. Do you even watch, bro? We're just, like I said, just fucking with you. I know you were dealing with work last night. You had fucking shit to do. But Dave, the football stuff, the first one, this is one where not going to be the longest of segments. It's just kind of news that happened. We're going to have to wait and see what happens with this. But the Texans finally get their guy to be the GM. So basically, Nick Caserio, who is he was the GM or the front office man with the Patriots, not the GM because it's Belichick. But he was working with the front office with the Patriots. Apparently, the Texans wanted to hire him last year, and the Patriots, there was a clause in his contract where the Patriots could say, "No, fuck that. You're not leaving. You're staying with us." Apparently, that's why Bill O'Brien got the executive role, which ultimately got him fired. But the clause in Caserio's contract was not there this year, so they get their guy. Dave, we could ask, oh, is this the right move? Is this the wrong move? We're never going to know until things actually happen. But the thing I do want to ask you is, I want you to go into the shoes of Nick Caserio, because there's a big decision he's going to have to make. Day 1, day 2, maybe week 1, week 2. And that's J.J. Watt, where many people are thinking, because of his contract not being guaranteed for the last year, they're just going to cut him. He's going to have his pick of where to go. If you are Nick Caserio, are you coming in and going, all right, we're going to cut you. It doesn't hurt us. You get a chance of where you're going to go. Or do you walk into, you call JJ into your office, you go, hey, JJ, put down a list of teams you're interested in. I'm willing and letting you go, but I want to get something back for you and try to recoup something because I've got nothing to work with in the draft. I need a pick or something for you.
Yeah, I don't think that anyone's going to give them that because they all know the situation.
Okay.
No one's going to pay a high draft pick for 1 year of J.J. Watt at age 30. Check his age.
I'll fact check it.
I'm just kind of guessing 30. I don't actually know how old that man is. He's been doing it for a while, though. He's one of the best.
He is 31. He will be 32 in March.
Yeah, not a fucking chance that they get back a top round. No. You cut him, you save yourself $17 million because you need as much help on that roster as possible. You got to fill out multiple positions without draft picks, like Ricky said. This is going to be a tough situation. Someone had to take this job. It was obviously one of the least attractive jobs because of their lack of draft picks going forward, because Bill O'Brien's a fucking genius, giving away picks left and right for talent that did not deserve it. So big contracts are also one of the problems. That's why I think that this is, again, $17 million goes a long way towards filling out that roster. So get Deshaun some help. Get that boy some offensive line help. Fill in some holes on the defense. You don't need to have one of the most legendary pass rushers in the NFL on your team, because clearly it didn't work for you this year. You still fucking sucked on defense.
Yeah.
You couldn't stop a goddamn nosebleed out there. So the price tag, not worth it anymore. I hate to say it. J.J. Watt on a team surrounded by talent probably will thrive. He could be 12, 14 sacks again, just like that. But on this team, no. So it's just value to the team. You say, I appreciate everything you've done for the franchise. You've been an excellent player. You're likely going to be a Hall of Famer. I don't know if the Houston Texans do a Ring of Honor deal, but he'll be there. He'll fucking be there. But the smart business move is to cut ties and move forward.
And one of the things that I did look up is the Texans this year do have 8 picks. So you might think like, oh shit, Ricky, they got 8 picks.
How late?
They're all between rounds 3 and 7, Dave. So, like, the only way I look to shop J.J. Watt is if it's like, can I at least get, like, a third, a fifth, a fourth? Like, can I get any pick for him? Because any pick might be better than no pick. But you're probably right. Teams are probably like, why the fuck would I even give you a conditional fifth when I know you're just going to fucking cut him anyways? Exactly. Like, you don't have to trade him. Kind of
and
a
$17
thing.
million. Who has $17 million for a 1-year deal for a guy who did not produce this year?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, like, teams that would need him. Like the Saints would be one. I know Jake's going to say no, we don't need him.
They're $1 billion over the cap already.
Yeah, they are the worst cap situation in the entire league. So, like, yet again, the teams that have the cap might not be the teams that he even wants to go to. Jake goes, actually, he would really like J.J. Watt on that team. To me, the interesting thing, and yet again, this hit Twitter like crazy today when it came to the Texans, because today the Eric Bieniemy interviewed with the Jets. So far, Bieniemy has interviewed with, and Adam Schefter said, Bieniemy has interviewed with the Jaguars for their job, the Jets for their job. He interviewed with the Chargers already, and on Monday he interviewed with Atlanta and Detroit. He now has an interview with all teams except the Texans. Now, the thing I'm looking at in this is this the Texans basically saying we wanted to get our GM before we, like, now it's like it's Caserio's pick. If he wants to interview Bieniemy, he's going to interview Bieniemy.
Yeah.
Or is this just something where, like, yet again, I hate to say this, but are the Texans going to be the team that finally, like, basically, because the one thing I've always said about Bieniemy is not that he shouldn't have a job, because I feel like if you feel like he's the right coach, go ahead and hire him. Right. But I always feel like every year we throw his name out because he's the Rooney Rule coach, to where it's we have to interview a minority. You're the guy that falls into that category. Is this the Texans basically saying, yeah, we have no interest in you, so you know what? We're not even going to waste your time. We're not going to waste your time. We're not going to waste our time, because just bringing you in for an interview just to satisfy this rule isn't fair to you and isn't fair to us. Like, is it more of the former of, hey, we're waiting for our GM to get in here and he might decide to interview him? Or could it be the latter of, no, we don't have an interest in you, and we're not just going to go through the motions because some rule in the NFL tells us we have to?
I would like to think it's because they don't have a GM. And usually you want your GM to be the guy who picks your coach, who picks the sporting staff out there, agrees with the coach to build out that roster, build out that assistant team, build out, who we're going to pick in the draft. All that is collaborative. And without the guy up at the top in the GM, nobody else should be making that decision on behalf of the Texans, as proved by this Texans team sucking. No one deserves to make the call other than their new GM. So I do wonder if Nick will reach out and set up an interview at some point. Again, interviews this year are kind of weird because you're not going to go there in person. It'll all be over Zoom calls anyway. I would think that, hey, obviously the Chiefs are doing something on offense that not a lot of the other teams are. Yes, they have perhaps the most talented quarterback we've ever seen, but we have a guy who's pretty good too, last time I checked. Deshaun Watson can make some magic fucking happen out there. So what would it be like if we had a creative offensive mind to work with that, and maybe that would help us? Maybe. I mean, in my mind, that's the only thing of course, if they're choosing not to interview him because they don't think that he's a good fit, I would love to understand that reasoning. I can't, but I love to try to understand where they're coming from.
Can I make a bold prediction here?
Sure.
Urban Meyer is going to be the head coach of the Texans.
What?
The reason why I say that is, so I'm looking at a tweet here, and it isn't even the Texans, it's the Chargers. And basically it says, Chargers requested interviews so far: Bieniemy, Dabble from the Bills, Jason Garrett, Joe Brady, Brandon Staley, Matt Eberfluss from the Colts, Arthur Smith, Robin Salah, they are also tied to Urban Meyer. I read that and I'm like, the Jaguars can't be the only team tied to him. The Jaguars can't be the only one. Like, yet again, we talked about him being basically going to Jacksonville because he's got the ties with Florida. But the thing that I just think about in my head is, what did Deshaun Watson say about this team? He tweeted out, we need a culture change. What were we talking about with Urban Meyer? What he's going to, like, what he would do to a team is basically come in and say, this is the new culture. Work with young guys. This is a team that might be going more young to where it's like, hey, we've got a quarterback we can work with, but we can get draft picks that can come in and help us hopefully win sooner rather than later. And I feel like Urban Meyer, with the quarterbacks he's had in college, I feel like he could have an offensive system that works with Deshaun Watson. Like I said, bold prediction out there, but like in my head, I'm piecing it together to where it's like, is this also a decision of, we're not going to interview Bieniemy because we already know who our guy is, and we're going to go 100% on Urban Meyer, and is this basically the best well-kept secret in the NFL because no one's tweeting about it?
The only thing I could think why Urban Meyer would be good there is because they have Deshaun Watson, who is a quarterback who can run, and that's the point that they emphasized today on Pat McAfee's show, was that his style of winning, his way to get the ball in the end zone, was heavily through a quarterback who had mobility, who ran the ball. They didn't think it was going to be sustainable at the NFL level with the shots that people were taking because it wasn't a similar style to what the Ravens are doing with Lamar Jackson. So it was the question of like, well, who knows? Maybe this could work. But I don't think this is the right fit. I think that this is a pissed off team that has talent, but lacked leadership. They lacked the right guys making the right calls to win them games because they had talent on that roster. They fucked it up.
Is Jason Garrett then the guy?
Please.
You bring in the Texas guy back to Texas. Stick it to Jerry.
Yeah, you know what? Let's go hire Jason Garrett. Let's do that. He made Colt McCoy look like a quarterback.
Because I'm looking at fucking guys out there. There's no besides Meyer and Garrett, there's no coach out there that is like, he's had experience as a head coach. He's a guy we need. The other ones are just like, well, this offensive coach would work with Deshaun, but is he going to be able to do, like, is it a Matt Nagy situation of like, hey, we think he'll work with Mitch Trubisky, but oh, wait, everything else that you need to be a head coach, you've kind of fallen on.
And also, it turns out that Mitch Trubisky is not equal to Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
It turns out what Patrick Mahomes can do, not what Mitch Trubisky can do. So when you call plays for Patrick Mahomes, that's great for Patrick Mahomes. But when you try to have Mitch Trubisky to do Patrick Mahomes,
especially when you try to get Mitch to throw left, man, like that's tricky.
You can't quite do that.
Yeah, that's tricky. It's going to be interesting to see now that the Texans have their GM, though, what they now do. And I just can't wait till one of these coaching vacancies gets filled, which, by the way, you know how I asked you earlier this week, what's the most enticing job?
Yep.
You know what job I left out that I realized 2 days later?
Which job?
The Lions. Totally forgot they were hiring a coach, too. Just forgot they fired Matt Patricia.
Very true.
But the last one, Dave, is this question has been circulating the internet today.
Why?
ESPN has talked about it. I've seen it on Fox. It's kind of the new hit thing for this week. Little playoff discussion in the NFL, Dave. Who is under more pressure to win in the playoffs this year? Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady? What do you think? Who's under more pressure to get a win this year, get a Super Bowl? Is it Tom Brady or is it Aaron Rodgers?
Neither.
You don't think either one is under pressure at all?
No. I think they're playing a game for entertainment.
I'm going to go with Tom Brady then. Like, to me, coming into this, I was all in the, if I had to pick one of them, gun to my head, Dave, I'm going to say which one has the most pressure. Aaron Rodgers, I say no pressure because, do you see him on the Pat McAfee show on Aaron Rodgers Tuesdays? Guy looks like he has no pressure on him to where it's like he looks like the chillest dude ever. Now, that might be different when he's behind closed doors, but I look at them and I go, if Aaron Rodgers does not win a Super Bowl this year, it is not going to, it's not going to be make or break, because a lot of us are going to go, well, you know what? He's probably going to go to X team like Brett Favre did. He'll have that chance with X team like Brett did with the Vikings, hoping it's the Bears. But Tom Brady, I feel like there's more pressure this year for Brady to win because of the fact of what it means in relation to his complete story this year, to where it almost a Super Bowl win for Tom would complete the story full cycle of, I left New England, I got to the playoffs, I got back to the Super Bowl, I won the Super Bowl. What did Bill Belichick do without me? Couldn't even make the playoffs this year. That's why I think there is more pressure on Brady. Plus, because of everything that's circled the Bucs this year. How much we've ragged on their offense. How much Arians has thrown Brady under the bus this year.
Deservedly so.
It would, deserve. I'm not saying he didn't deserve it, but that's why to me, if I had to choose, Brady would be the one to have more pressure because of everything that has gone along in his storyline. To where Aaron, it's like, if he wins it, great. If he doesn't, nobody's going to be calling for Aaron's head. We're just all thinking that Aaron is going to move on because Jordan Love is sitting there.
Two things. Mm-hmm. One, I don't want to participate in this ESPN bullshit. I hope I've made that very clear.
Okay.
Two, I think it's almost better if Aaron doesn't win.
Okay, why?
Because it's a fuck you to the Packers organization who didn't draft talent around him and instead tried to draft his successor.
But Dave, what if MVS catches the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl? What would you do? How would you feel? Dave's like, I got nothing for you. Jake brings up a good point, though. Pretty short-sighted, considering 8 starting defensive players opted out for the Pats. That is true. However, Cam Newton had, I learned today, 8 touchdowns today in this entire season. But yeah, I saw this.
20 to 4 or a $40 million deal for the next 2 years, maybe.
What, Cam Newton?
Yeah, they're $40 to $50 million for a 2-year deal.
Yeah, I don't see that at all.
No one sees that.
Yeah, I don't.
But it was reported.
Who do you think it? I want to say he is a free agent this year. If he's not, correct me if I'm wrong. Who gets a job first, Fitzmagic or Cam Newton in free agency?
He's under contract.
Okay. Because I know that the only reason why I thought he wasn't is I saw a tweet going around of the Bears' next quarterback.
And I mean, that's just because we're suckers for backup quarterbacks, Ricky. You've never met a more popular guy than the backup quarterback in Chicago. That guy is the guy.
Jake says from the football team. Washington? What about Washington, Jake?
For Cam Newton.
Oh,
because of the Ron Rivera connection. But Alex Smith is under contract.
Yeah.
Also, Alex Smith is 5-1.
Yeah, for 2 more years.
Yeah.
Did you hear what Bruce Arians said about Washington, by the way?
Hang on, Ryan Fitz. What did he say?
He said that basically Washington is not a 7-9 team with Alex Smith.
Yeah,
they're 7-9 with Haskins, not with Alex
Smith.
Take
it back. Fitzpatrick is up next this offseason. He is up. I was confusing him and Alex Smith. I jumped one ahead in my brain.
So who gets the job first, Fitzmagic or Cam Newton? If Cam doesn't go to Washington.
Fitzmagic.
Easily.
Fitzmagic.
Also, let's hope that the Miami Dolphins wasn't a story today, but let's hope they get the right OC to work with Tua as Chan Gailey. No longer
he was fired, and then he wasn't fired.
Resigned.
And then he resigned.
He resigned, Dave.
Yeah.
It's the classic, hey, let's have you resign because I don't want to embarrass you.
Well, there was a report out that he had been fired, and maybe that report was literally hours early, so therefore they had to damage control it. And he was like, no one on my staff's getting fired, guys. We love everyone here. You're still out the door, Chan.
Also, this goes into our Texans story. Jake put this into Twitch chat. The Texans gave Caserio a 6-year contract that makes him one of the 3 highest paid GMs in the league per sources. I look at that and I go, fuck it. You're getting your guy. You're locking him down. You're basically saying, I want to see this the long way through. I'm giving you the effort or I'm giving you the chance
security
to build this team. Yeah.
It's a security. And I mean, it's not like they're doing this in someone who hasn't had experience. He's literally the guy who sat next to Bill Belichick for a dynasty. Like, could you ask for a better pedigree? No, you literally can't. There are GMs in the league who I wouldn't give a 6-year deal to. But the guy who sat next to the Patriots dynasty and everything that Bill Belichick and that whole front office really put together for the last 20 years. And I know that he wasn't there for 20 years, but point is, he was there long enough to absorb, to be part of, and he was highly regarded. And they wanted it, like you said, they had tried to get him previously, couldn't. They know he's the guy. They like him. There's a connection there. No problem with that deal.
Yeah. That's going to do it, though, for MVP Sports Live. All we got for you today. Thank you guys for being as great as you are, especially everyone. Tim, Eric, Jake, Nick's Josh was in here in Twitch chat today. One of the things I didn't see from Tim that I'll read now is he says, Rodgers should leave Green Bay. I can think of a place for him to go. I think Dave named that place in the Chicago Bears.
Might have done that.
Join the Discord if you haven't already. Greatest place to be, where we talk sports each and every day, even when we're not on here talking sports. Link down below in the description, or exclamation Discord into Twitch chat. Get you that link. If you want to support us, patreon.com/MVPvids is where you go for that. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Pat Hill and Philly Sean. We're on Twitch every Monday through Friday, twitch.tv/MVPvids. And we're also on YouTube at MVP Sports. Again, thank you guys for doing everything that you do. Dave and I will be back tomorrow talking more sports. And as always, have a good day, everybody.